Please make sure you subscribe. Smash that button even if we agree to disagree. Greetings everyone and welcome back to Blogging Tawheed. This is a continuation of the first video of series of the Trinity, which is a notion that there are three divine persons and exactly one God. We mentioned that Christian scholars don't hide it any longer. They admit there is a problem that arises out of the standard doctrine of the Trinity. And that problem is known today as a logical problem of the Trinity. It is also sometimes referred to as the three-in-one problem, or also known as the tritheism objection. The problem arises out of an affirmation of 7 key premises that Christians generally adhere to holding to these 7 premises. What exactly are these 7 statements and premises? These 7 statements or premises are that lead to this incoherency in the Trinity, or what's known as the logical problem of the Trinity. I am going to deconstruct and debunk these statements one by one. Now, I am pretty sure that you have seen the Trinity picture. I will make it so simple for you to understand, actually in writing one by one. The first statement is that the Father is God. Let's go easy, slowly, so you can understand it. The first statement, the Father is God. So we have an is statement. The Father is God. The second statement, we have the Son is God. That's the second statement. The third statement, the Holy Spirit is God. You follow me? Now here, the Father is God. The second premise is the Son is God. The Holy Spirit is God as the third premise. Remember, none of these 7 statements are controversial for a Trinitarian. It's controversial to you and I, but not to the Trinitarian Christian. There are Christian denominations, however, who believe in the unification of God and that Jesus is not God but Son of God. But that's another story for another night. So, the Father is God, the Son is God, the Holy Spirit is God. Those are the first statements. Number 4, the Father is not the Son, because the Father and the Son are not the same thing. You follow me? The Father is also not the Holy Spirit. Number 6, the Son is not the Holy Spirit. And last premise, 7, there is exactly one God. Now, if we go back here, you'll see the fourth premise, the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, the Son is not the Holy Spirit, and the 7th one, there is only one God. Now, the question is, how many gods are there? You can ask any 5th grader, they'll tell you 1, 2, 3. There are 3 gods. The reason why this results in what is known as the logical problem of the Trinity is because the problem essentially is the fact that we have 3 is God statement in which the subjects of the statements or the sentences are not identical, and yet we are claiming that there is only one God. It would seem to follow from the first 6 premises that there are exactly 3 gods. If we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's exactly 3 gods, right? Instead, we say that in the 7th premise, there is exactly one God. Now, in the first 3 statements, we have the Father is God, first God is statement. This is first God is statement. The Son is God, second God is statement. the Holy Spirit is God. This is third God is statement, because we're saying God is the Holy Spirit, God is the Son, God is the Father. So we have God is statements. Now, in order to avoid modalism, which is a heresy, that the persons are just modes of one person and there is only one person. Standard Trinitarian theology says that the Father is not the Son, the Father is not the Holy Spirit, the Son is not the Holy Spirit. Now, if these three aren't the same, and we have each one of them being God is statement, then it looks like we have 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3 gods. We have 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3 gods. We have 3 is God's statement. Not only 1 is God's statement, as you can see. God is, the Son is, the Holy Spirit is. This is God is statements. So the issue arises that we have 3 is God statements. None of this 3 are the same as one another, but yet there are exactly one God. It would seem to follow from this 6 premises that there is not one God, but there is 3 gods. Now, I'm going to give you an analogy to explain what I mean by this. Maybe it'll make it simpler for you, and it will give you a better understanding of what exactly the problem is. Now, I'm going to choose 3 names. Let's go with Adam, Abraham, and Moses. So we have Adam is a man. Right? Adam is a man. Abraham is a man. Moses is a man. So we have Abraham is man, Adam is man, Abraham is man, and Moses is man. Adam is not Abraham. You follow me? Adam is not Abraham. Adam is not Moses. What else we have left? Abraham is not Moses. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 statements. And the last 7 one, number 7, the 7 premise, there is or there are, because there are exactly 1 or 3 men based on here we go. So how many men do we have? How many men do we have here? We have Adam is a man, Abraham is a man, Moses is a man. Adam is not Abraham, Adam is not Moses, Abraham is not Moses. So how many men do we have? There is 3 men in the 7 premise. Now, typically, if we were to read this apart from considering the Trinity, we would say there are exactly 3 men, right? But instead, what you have in the Trinity is you would have this same formula. Instead of saying there are 3 men or 3 gods, you have 3, there is exactly 1 man. Christian philosophers that attempt to be faithful to these 7 premises and yet avoid what appears to be the logical absurdity of saying that there is only 1 God when it appears that there should be 3 gods. It would seem to follow from the first 6 premises that there are exactly 3 gods. Instead, we say that in the 7th premise there is exactly 1 God, which it contradicts the Bible. Therefore, the Trinity is checkmate. Game over.
إذ قال الله يا عيسى ابن مريم أأنت قلت للناس اتخذوني وأمي إلهين من دون الله قال سبحانك ما يكون لي أن أقول ما ليس لي بحق إن كنت قلته فقد علمته تعلم ما في نفسي ولا أعلم ما في نفسك إنك أنت علام الغيوب